Good evening. We are going to bring our meeting to order. And first on our list is Mr. Parker with awards and recognitions.
All right. So several of our schools have been working diligently to embed the district profile of a learner into the instruction and to develop a common language that incorporates the key competencies. So this year, Southern Elementary is highlighting Students of the Month focused on a different competency from the profile of a learner based on the lessons from the Leader in Me. So they're rolling all kinds of things together. Grade level teachers nominate students who exemplify key competencies, and if selected, their photos are posted on a Student of the Month Wall of Fame display. Southern highlighted good citizens in September. Tonight we have with us several of these young citizens who display strong character and high ideals. So I will share a few great things teachers have said about each student this evening, and then ask that our friends come forward to receive a special gift and to take a quick picture. So we will start with kindergartner and Citizen of the Month, Dylan Perkins. Dylan Perkins shows respect for his teachers and peers. He always looks for ways to help his friends and teachers. Dylan follows directions and sets a great example of a model student. He comes in with a big smile and a positive attitude every day. Let's all give Dylan Perkins a round of applause. Come over here. Let's come over. Yeah, you did good. You did perfect. Come on over here. Come on over here.
Yay.
All right, next we have first grader, Finley McNeely. Finley is a hardworking student who always gives 100% effort every single day. Kind to others, and always wears a smile. All right,
Thank you.
goes out of her way to help anyone who needs it. Everybody, please give it up for Finley.
Oh.
Right. Natalie Hobbs is a Citizen of the Month from second grade. Natalie is always on task and follows expectations consistently. Very kind to all students, teachers, and staff in the building. Always puts her best effort forward and wants to learn every single day. These things make Miss Natalie and congratulations.
Good smile.
All right, we've got next up third grade student, Kendall DeRosset. Kendall is described as an exemplary citizen in her class, consistently earns the most dojo points each day,
Whoa.
and embodies all the qualities of a good citizen. Her dedication and positive attitude greatly contribute to a positive and supportive classroom atmosphere. Good job, Kendall. Congratulations.
Good job.
All right, and then finally we have with us Caroline Colbert, fifth grade student. Caroline shows what it means to be a good citizen through her sweet and kind spirit, always ready to lend a hand. Works hard to get things done. Her positive attitude makes her a great kid and a role model for everyone around her. If you're not
you for our students and our parents and families who have joined us this evening. Thank you.
Sweet is that?
Yeah. Number 4, agenda approval.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 5 is public comment. Mike Davis. Hello, Mr. Davis.
How y'all doing?
Good,
Very
good.
well.
Thanks. Good to see you.
I think you understand how we work everything here, so
Yes,
I won't
ma'am.
bother, but
Yes, ma'am.
we're happy to hear from you.
Well, thank you very much. I apologize. Last month I didn't get to speak because, well, the great storm, I had to move. We moved our football game, so I had to go there instead. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. Dear board members, Superintendent Parker and community, I want to shine some light on the great people we have here in Scott County. Over the past 2 weeks, just working in every school with SEA and KEA, I am pleased to let you guys know and the community know that we have some of the best educators in the state. Yes, most places all say that, but I can confirm it. Watching people step up and others when there was a death in the family or whenever a teacher's holding a child that's sick and you get to see that in their arms, or a coach consoling a player who's had a season injury. We have some of the best people in Scott County working here. And the professionalism of our principals and our administration as we've been in their buildings have been amazing. We think that's what makes us special. Scott County is growing with the right people here to help build the future of our youth, and it makes an impact on a lifetime of these people. I say all that to bring you to an issue that I believe is very dear to every one of us that's in education tonight. In 12 days, our country, our state, and even our local leaders will all be on the ballot, and no matter the outcome, change is always inevitable. One thing that I will not shy away from, and I will always stand firmly on, is that I adamantly oppose Amendment 2. And the idea that we would want to even think about taking public dollars and give it to private entities or charter schools and break down the backbone of our great state is unfathomable to me. I said, we're the reason that all kids get fed, get educated, have someone that loves and cares for them, and we will always be those people because that's what we do as educators. We love and care. And to me, if this amendment passes, it will absolutely devastate Scott County. As you look at how we retain teachers, and we've done a really good job of that. How do we keep our district strong with the commitments of the great climate, the great culture, the 8% raise we had last year? That was a great thing, but there's more that needs to be done. If Amendment 2 passes, we won't be celebrating raises. We won't be celebrating anything new. We'll be trying to figure out, your job will be much tougher. You'll have to figure out how you're going to make up for what the Kentucky Center of Economic Policy estimates around $15 million and 145 jobs in this county alone, if it passes. Which programs are you going to cut? We got one of the most state-of-the-art, awesome facilities over there at the new Scott County High School. You're going to cut lacrosse, who's wanting to get a booster started tonight. You're going to cut football. What are you going to do? Those are all real questions that we're facing. Are you going to cut drama? Are you going to cut the arts? Are you going to cut health and PE? You know, those will be real questions that will have to be answered if this passes in May. You know, and all I want to make sure of is I come from a man who worked at AK Steel for 32 years. I've seen this happen over and over and over again with people's fights. You know, and all I ask is this. As members of our community, I beg you, I implore you to stand with us and all the great teachers, administrators, cooks, janitors, bus drivers, instructional aides, secretaries, and all the great district personnel, and all of us with SEA, and pledge to vote no on Amendment 2. Pledge to let people know that they need to understand what it does. I'm so tired of hearing everybody else being allowed to say it's okay to vote vote yes, and nobody ever attacks them. We have to stand up and fight for what's right. And this is about our kids. It's not just about our teachers and our jobs. It's about our kids. And they will suffer the most if this happens. Now, I want to leave you with something positive, though. Okay? I appreciate your time on that. I just want to make sure my stance is clearly known. All right, over the last 2 weeks, we've had some big things happen here in SEA. We had our first in-person all-members meeting since COVID-19 on October the 17th. We had the KA President Eddie Campbell and the Vice President Joe Wolford with us in attendance, and several other KA people there. They truly believe that we're doing what it takes in Scott County to have their full support and to grow our organization. The past 3 days, we've been in the buildings of Scott County Schools, and I'm happy to announce that we've gained 72 new members in those 3 days, which means since the August the 5th, we have added 119 new members to Scott County Education Association. We are quickly growing to be one of the largest and fastest growing locals in the state of Kentucky. We want to continue to stress our motto of empowering educators and engaging communities and inspiring student success. We are here to work alongside the leaders of the school system and community to make Scott County Schools the greatest place to work, live, and play in the entire state. I believe we've heard that before. We have everything we need to move ourselves forward into the future and to help prepare our students for tomorrow. The T4 project, the new schools, the technology, we've all got all that. And I want to thank you everyone for that. You all have been the reasons why we've been able to do those things over the last several years. And I hope that we can count on you, the superintendent, and the community as we work as partners in these endeavors of greatness for our children. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate everything that you do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be careful. Be careful. Consent agenda. Okay, number 6. Consent agenda items A through J.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 7, construction report. Hello, Tony.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
So some of these projects are winding down, of course, but and maybe Scott County for the last time. I think I said this last month, maybe, but we got a few more auditorium pictures though, so I wanted to show those as well. But here's the Scott County High School flag flying on all its glory, the nave or the big lobby,
The
the
Greater
gym,
Hall.
the Great Hall. That's
The
right.
Greater
That.
Hall.
Thanks, Dave.
Are they
Hallway
really?
of
Oh.
Well, I like that
Oh.
because it's full of trophies. That's
right.
nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
I can live with that.
Yes, it is.
Even better.
So here's just some more great shots that I'm going to miss.
Tony,
Miss
every
Show-
time I go into the library, sorry, media center,
Yes,
Oh,
there it is
I-
right there.
they just, everybody that's in there that,
I love it, huh?
yes,
Great, great,
making it totally
right.
last
Well, Well, it's all the help you had stacking on the shelves and things like that, right? And all the free labor. So, and of course, there's the outside of the gymnasium. And here's this is from this morning. So, yeah, so we're in good shape now. So, here's another shot from.
How many
yeah.
chairs are in there, Tony?
Ooh, 750.
I know.
I think it's.
can't help
I
it.
think.
I need to know.
It might be about. Yeah.
You have the ceremony?
I think it's 784. No.
Yeah. No, I think we shot for 750 and it ended up like 734.
34.
Yeah, yeah.
Get a refund for the 16? They're gonna be credit.
Tony, am I correct? We're still kind of staying out of there at this point. Still some things to be done, or
No, I believe I talked to Darren and Dwayne this week, and I think they let them in there.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that they've scheduled a full-fledged production of some
Right,
sort, but
right.
they've let Scott County into the auditorium. Yes, yes.
I think we're give
Yeah.
them a chance to work.
Right. So just some great shots of the auditorium there, and I don't know, I might still sneak some pictures, and there's from the stage. Sneak some pictures in the future. Oh, there's a ladder in that picture, so it's not done. Oh, that gives me a reason to to bring some pictures back next time. Maybe with people on the stage, maybe I'll get some shots like that. But so there's the Scott County High and the athletic project, of course, same situation. Now, this is actually a new shot of this. I think some of you met Casey, our marketing guy. He's been down taking some shots as well and got some good shots of the inside of the field house. So those projects are closing up and in use. So, and I did bring, there was some question last time about the change orders, so I compiled the change orders, and this is the Scott County High School, and you can see there I've got a owner requested building code and net zero, because you see, right there's a net zero change orders. There were several that were just switching from the
There was,
general
yeah.
contract to
Yeah.
the taking it away from a purchase order to the general contract. And I called the one design team at the bottom. I don't know if that means design team. It's just kind of everything else. But if you look at the bottom, even with owner requests and everything else, it's 1/5 of 1% for, once you net everything out. So that's for the high school. And I have these documents that I can share as well. Of course, you all have the PowerPoint now. And if we go to the athletic complex, down at the bottom, it says 0.62, which is a little over 0.5%. But if you go back up in that form, the 2/3 of that is, of course, where you added back in the whole parking lot up by the field house,
Yeah,
the
we had some
curbs and the
value
gutters
engineering.
and the drains and things like that.
Yeah.
So $107,000 of that was the owner requested things that made it back into the contract. So if you take those out, it's also at about 0.2. So about all of those projects together ended up about 1/5 of 1%.
Right. Thank
So,
That's
so,
Yeah.
and if you need to
that.
look at that further, of course, that's just all the change orders, and that's on the PowerPoint there. Garth Elementary, actually, I'm sorry, any questions?
I had a quick question.
Yes,
So
yes,
how
yes.
is the entrance of the auditorium? How is all that coming along? The last time I think I was there, we still didn't have the wording up on the back wall, or?
I'm not aware of that. I'll have to
Okay.
find out. That was
Okay.
probably a Joey Darren
Okay.
conversation
Yeah, that's
there.
kind of like the last little, I
Oh,
know they were waiting.
some of the dimensional lettering
Yeah,
that goes up on
yes.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was just
Okay.
curious.
Yeah, I'll find out about that.
Okay,
Dimensional
thank you.
lettering on the back wall of the inside. You're saying,
Correct.
yes, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Any other Scott High School? We'll move to Garth Elementary, another project that is finishing up. This is drone footage from this morning. What a beautiful day it was, but.
I'm just
Um,
about wrecked. Because I'm not lying.
Oh, yeah.
I'll look over and I want
Yeah.
to catch a peek. And
Yeah, yeah, well, especially on a day like today, so
Yep.
these are just from this morning drone footages, and so they got a couple of good shots of it. So this project also finishing out. I know there's a few little punch list items that are being worked on, but it included some shades on the inside. There's a shades on the inside and a little bit of restroom work as well, which we've talked about, but those projects will be closing out. But if I run into any more interesting pictures, I'll bring them back to you. Any questions on Garth? The 96, I can just go straight. They still don't have that piece of base in, but at least they have worked on the doors. And of course, you have to buzz to get in, and the attendance office is really working out well for them, as I understand. And you can see the door on the front there. I'm going to have to find out what the holdup on that little piece of base across the bottom there is, but it looks great. Other than that, it's going to be black. If they don't do something, I'm going to buy a piece of black base and stick it in there.
Put it up
And
there.
then-
Yeah.
So, and of course, part of that project is the 800+ seat grandstands beside the track and the field.
honestly, that's kind of the best kept secret of the whole project, because the way
I kind of agree.
the way you set up is you never really see it. Again, you almost have to cause a wreck and break your neck to look
To
around
back,
and see it, because
Right.
once you get down the hill, it's hidden.
But it was so needed. It
Oh,
was
100%,
so needed.
100%.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
turned out far better than what I imagined. I was
Me
really
too.
worried with the way
Yeah.
on both sides of that building where the
Mhm.
blind spots were going to be onto that field. So this turned out great.
Right.
Got really good.
Thank you. It's got ramps coming up both sides, but there's also new concrete work that takes a ramp down to the bottom as well, so people can get to the track or to the grandstands. So another project that's really closing out. Any questions on the 96 high school, now middle school project? If not, we'll go into, and I'm sorry, I don't know where, I'm going to go ahead and discuss the schematic design. I assume it's I didn't see the agenda. It's an agenda item probably later. Okay. So, oh, gosh.
High school?
Yeah.
A new
You
high
could-
school?
you should've clicked really
Yeah.
quick and maybe
Uh,
nobody
yeah,
was
here-
excited. I saw
Yeah,
that.
just leave that, please. We
I-
don't need
that-
rumors.
That was a,
Really? God.
that must,
dang.
and
High school
I
number
looked
10
at,
in Scott County.
I looked at all the other slides so
Please.
closely.
How many Scott County high schools can we
I,
have in one
uh,
county?
Oh, please.
I copied obviously a screen
We've all
forward
done it.
and did everything.
It's okay.
So, well, everybody knows you don't have 10 high schools, so we're talking about elementary 10 here. So tonight you're just basically, you did a BG1, last time, and this is just the next phase, which is the schematic. You've already known from Mr. Parker's great video, all the changes that are going on, and this is very similar to the Creekside Elementary School schematic plan, of course, with some changes. The survey was not complete. I wanted to have a site plan to show you how it was going to be situated on the site. The surveyor has not finished the survey, but I promise you I'll bring one to you at design development next month, and you'll have every opportunity. And of course, we'll take that through the administration as well to have every opportunity to look at the site plan more than once to see that you make sure you're okay with it. But going to pay a lot of attention to the car line and the bus lane, of course, which are going to be situated similar to the way they are at Creekside. And the first thing I meant to do here, the high school threw me off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Very helpful.
And of course, I have some blow-ups of these areas, but you can see on the printed copy, 25 standard classrooms. Creekside 1 was named a nature study, but really you all are just using it as a standard classroom. 6 resource rooms, 4 kindergarten rooms. So that's a little bit to computer classrooms. Nobody really needs to, as I understand it, the reason we changed them to kindergarten, nobody's really using the standard or the computer.
We really have taken advantage of the fact that the design follows Creekside, knowing that they're in the building. They're able to give great feedback.
Sure.
Right,
Everything they're experiencing.
right.
Computer labs, because we've gone one.
Right. And I should mention, we did, of course, Mr. Ellison went through with the current staff at Creekside and got a lot of 3 pages of comments, most of which have been incorporated into this. And we've been over there. We were over there just yesterday. 6 resource rooms, 4 kindergarten, 1 art, 1 music, 1 full gym with the stage. And of course, the stage is double-sided into the cafeteria. 1 kitchen cafeteria, media center, highly structured classroom, and administration area and related offices. And I say related offices because we've taken a couple of rooms that were just a video room and a bookstore and things of that nature. And the staff at Creekside felt like they would be better used as offices or little, pull-out rooms, things of that nature. So those are now offices. And with that said, I'll show you some blow-up of the areas. The entry, of course, is right at the bottom. You come in the admin area on the right. All the glass in the vestibule area will be, safeguard.
We're following our general protocol.
Yes,
Just
general
say that
protocols.
clearly.
That's right. Then you can see there's a corridor all around the central core there. There's the media center. There's the related arts in the middle, as well as the kindergarten. I should have mentioned Family Resource Center right on the left as well. I don't think I put that in the text, but obviously there's a Family Resource Center here.
And so you enter there through the vestibule.
Yeah,
And it's buzzed in just like the office.
Yes. Yes, you have to, when you walk into the vestibule, you're locked and you can't go either way. Now, if you're going to the family resource, you don't have to go through the rest of the school and you don't have to go through the office. You can go straight into the family resource room. And there's an office for them and a washer and dryer room and things of that nature. If we go to the back, of course, we have the kitchen cafeteria, the double-sided platform stage, the gymnasium area. And I'm not really dwelling on these because I know you all are familiar with Creekside, and it's for except for little walls change. We added a couple of water fountains into the gymnasium area. At the cafeteria, instead of the big roll-up door, we're going to a couple of just big opening doors. That's going to be easier for them to maintain and operate. We're doing wider chases in the bathrooms where the plumbing is. So here's the I'll call it the left wing, which is a lot of standard classrooms, and of course they have their own bathrooms at that end. And then when we go to the other area, one of the biggest changes is, of course, the new codes on storm shelter. And I say new, it's been a few years now, but so this end of the building will be the storm shelter. It has to incorporate bathrooms. It will have its own standalone HVAC system up on the mezzanine. You can see the walls are a little thicker there. And Mr. Parker, I don't think I mentioned to you that we were able to now find storm-rated windows that were larger.
That's great.
Yeah, so we don't have to. I think we anticipated that we were going to have to downsize the windows, but as the industry, but as the industry has developed, we've just about found some, and that's about as big as you can get now to still be the kind of penetration-resistant window. And they have to penetrate, a 2x4 traveling at 250 miles an hour. So these are pretty strong pieces of glass. So you can see the area in dash line will be the storm shelter at the right end there with its bathrooms. And really, and that is the entire plan. And with the information I've given you on your printouts there of what the programmatic spaces are for Creekside, and knowing that a site plan is coming, really it's just what questions do you have about any of this?
Can you go back to the storm shelter area real quick? I just
Yes.
have a question for you.
Yes.
So the
Yeah, it's still, yeah.
okay, so the outside door and then the inside double doors.
Yes.
Are those going to be constructed? Are they both the same as far as, I don't know this answer, so that's why I'm asking. Interior wise, we have the storm doors that we have over there at the new Scott County High School. That goes down that corridor. So I'm assuming that's what'll be on the inside. But what do we put over here on the outside door? What would that be?
They
Is
will
that
also-
metal, or is that?
Yes, they'll be hollow metal, tornado-resistant doors.
Okay.
And the ones on the outside, of course, will be closed and locked and fall closed all the times. The one on the insides will be held open on fire alarm release buttons, so that or, of course, you all will have some protocol in the event of a storm, you do something, and it would be to close those doors. They'll fall closed, and at that point become tornado-resistant doors.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if you were going to do the wind down doors like you did in the cafeteria, or they were just going to be metal out exterior.
Good question. There are no roll down.
Okay, nothing roll down.
Yeah, the high school was so big.
Right, those are big. Huge
Yeah,
windows.
we had to get a large area like the cafeteria without building another building,
Yeah.
which would have been very expensive. We had to use the roll down doors at
Okay.
where. Otherwise, you would just have a couple of doors and no light and no, but here, since it's such a smaller area, we're only talking about, of course, 500 students at this point. I'm sorry, 600 students. Then we have a much smaller area to house, so we can house everybody in those rooms with doors at each end. No roll down grills.
Okay.
The storm shelter is for community. If we had
Well, that would be up to for the codes. The codes have to meet the population of the school, which is actually,
case it
we
would have to
actually
be
use
school.
7.
More
During
like there's
school.
an event coming.
Yeah.
For all the kids, so when they do their drills, everybody goes there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I should say it's actually designed because since I think I asked you, you said there was 60 or 70 staff members as well. So we took it from 600 to 700. So this,
700 people.
yeah, yeah.
In that space, I had the same thought. I'm looking at that going, that seems pretty small.
Well,
Yeah.
in the classrooms, what they allow you to do, and we try to minimize it because the storm shelter is so
Sure,
expensive.
sure.
The roof on it is concrete, and everything about it, unfortunately, is very expensive. They let you assume that you'll push the desk and chairs out of the way,
More of a
and you only need 5 square feet per person.
fair.
Um,
Well, yeah,
ex-
tornadoes don't last all day. It's not like
Well, and
that.
it's a 2 hour. Good
Yeah.
point too, because it's a 2 hour event.
Right.
It's designed for a 2-hour event. There's electricity, an inverter that gives you 2 hours of water and electricity and air in the storm shelter. And usually, if you're in there, you may, and I say usually, you know, when you have a tornado event or something, by an hour, everybody's done and the storm is gone.
Are the bathrooms part of the?
No,
Okay.
they are not. We figured in the area that's right outside the bathrooms so that if children still need to use the bathroom, or whoever is in there still need to use the bathroom, there's a boys and a girls that is not loaded with people. Good question.
I'm gonna ask a minor question.
No,
The water fountains, are they?
yes.
You can put your water bottle.
Every time you see a double pair, one of them will be will have a bottle filler with it. Yes. And we have several double pairs throughout the building. And outside of any questions on that, that's the construction report for this evening.
Any questions? All right, great. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Number 8, approve selection of Klockfelter Samakar as architect for the new elementary 10.
So move.
Second.
You back
All in
town?
favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
2 more years. 2 more years. Stuck with us
Thank
for
you for
2
being
more.
such a great partner.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Number 9, approve schematic plans for the new elementary number 10.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, student achievement report. Good evening.
Good evening. So today, we will be going over the KSA results for Scott County Schools. As we have told you in the video, whenever we shared this, whenever it was first released, currently all the data is in a spreadsheet format. And so the school report card will not be released until November 20th. So we've tried to organize this in a way that mimics the school report card. So, can I go? Oh, there you go. Okay. So we will start with the district elementary school. So one of the things I want to point out is the top 2 rows are bolded. And so that the reason those are bold is because that is how the students actually performed. So that is the representation of how many students were novice, apprentice, proficient, and distinguished. So when you look in reading and math, our status score was 61.8, which is at the medium level. When you look at science, social studies, and writing, it was a 62.3. EL is a 67, which is very high. And the survey results, which is the safety and culture survey, that was a low area. So one of the things that's interesting about this new accountability, well, it's not really new, but we're a couple of years in, the accountability system is they have a change indicator. So if you look in the reading and math, for example, it's at a 61.8. We did increase, which plus 1.8. So then you take that status score, add the change, which gives you a total score of 63.6, which you all know that we have been putting a lot of emphasis in reading and math through our recovery plan after COVID. And so that is showing that the data is growing up, which is good. But you can see if you look at science, social studies, and writing, the opposite happens with change. So this year, we were at a 62.3, which was down 0.4 of a point. So then you take that 62.3 and subtract that 0.4, which then gives you a 61.9. So in this is a prime example of how this can help you or hinder you. Like, for example, our EL students, which is our access scores, which is language acquisition, our students are performing very high. They also performed very high last year, but it went down a little bit. So that technically takes you from a blue level in performance to a green level, which is one area lower. So it's a very interesting and unique accountability system. But like I always tell you, we are looking at how our students performed, because the change isn't really a true picture. And so that's where our emphasis is. So we want to continue seeing our reading and math go up in elementary. We're now a full year in of the new implementation of our iReady system with reading and math. And so our teachers last year were doing a lot of adjustments. So I'm really excited for this upcoming year to see how our students grow in reading and math. And we're continually now looking at science, social studies, and writing and what we're doing within that in elementary. And our EL continuing just to see really strong work in elementary with our English language learning students. And then, do you have any questions about elementary?
I don't have questions about the indicator scores. Know what makes you green, like the numbers?
Yeah, and here in just a little bit, I'll give you the spreadsheet that shows that on from the state. Yeah, you're welcome. Maybe if I can there we go. Okay. District middle school. So this is all of our middle schools together. So again, you can see that in reading and math, we have maintained at a 64.6 when you look at how our students have actually performed. In science, social studies, and writing, we had gains from last year to 65.4. EL, which we'll look at that here in a little bit even in more detail, but our EL students, last year we were red in the very low category. And so thankfully, with the support of the board, we were able to put some additional resources in our middle school English language learner programs, and both in curriculum and in staffing, and we've gotten to see really great results. They had an increase of 21.6 points, which is incredible. And then again, the survey results is in the low category. I also wanted to talk about the survey results. We've not really put a whole lot of emphasis on that as of right now. There's a lot of interpretation whenever it comes to the questions. And so some of the things that we are doing is giving our kids some surveying exposure throughout the school year. So it's not the first time they see a survey about their experience, because the survey's given on the first day of testing. So that's one thing. Don't think that just because I don't talk about it a lot, it's not something that we are not looking at, but we are. So overall, that whenever you put all the change math in, overall the rating for the district middle school is green. So that's the high level. So really excited about that direction. Our high school. So here we have our high school. In reading and math, it's at a maintained level of 61.9 when you look at how we scored. Science, social studies, and writing, also at the maintained. We were at a 51.7. We had growth in graduation rate, which is always a focus, and we want our students to graduate with a high school diploma. Post-secondary readiness has a gain, which is really exciting because you all helped to provide some career and technical education teachers for block scheduling at the high schools, and so that is only going to have a positive impact on post-secondary readiness. And I'm really that's another data point I'm really excited to see grow this year now that we'll be in year 2. Our EL, we had an increase. We are high and we remain high, which is really great, great work. And then of the survey results as well. But overall, when you calculate it all and the weights and the change, we are in the yellow range, which is medium. So that being said, here's the picture. So as the district elementary school, we are in the medium range. High school or middle school, we are in the high range, and high school, we are in the medium range. As you know, we have, I do want to go back to high school really quick. I want to say something. I want to give some props to both high school principals and their teams right now. So one of the things that they are looking at is the rigor of our assessments. So since getting this, they are all diving in to how they are assessing their students. Are their assessments to the rigor standard of what the students are experiencing when they take KSA and ACT? They're looking at released items. And so just really excited because they've all jumped in. Joy Lusby was bragging on her teachers just yesterday about how they've jumped in and are relooking at, like in social studies, how they're doing document-based questions and things. So I'm excited to see what the outcomes are going to be as we move forward. So we have 0 very low schools. We have 2 in the low category, 8 in the medium, 2 in the high, and 2 in the very high. And Wendy, you had asked about the cut scores. It's right there just to kind of so that you can see, because we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail. So do y'all have any questions before we get into the detailed part about each school? Okay. All right, so this is, here is how each school is. And so I put the indicator score from each school from last year to this year so that you can look at that cut range. So Ann Mason Elementary is in the very low, or not very low, but the low status. And we do have some systems in place. One of the things that we are doing is we have continued doing our OSL visits. In addition to that, Paul Kruger goes in every month in addition to that, and they do rigor checks where the principal, AP if possible, and he go in and then they debrief after each classroom talking about is the instruction aligning to the standard and the rigor, and just really thinking through what classroom instruction is looking like in that school. In addition to that, you'll hear this. We do have 2-day KDE visits coming in where a team from KDE will go in and look at classroom instruction and then give areas for improvement or promising practices. And then they, in addition to that, will follow through and help that principal develop steps and strategies. And in addition, they will also cover and provide professional development. So it's a really good resource that they are offering to TSI schools that in the past they haven't. So really excited about that.
Those are 2 schools. Is that right?
Well, it'll actually be 4 total because the 2 elementary schools, but then it'll also be Scott County High School and GMS because they are also TSI. And we'll look at that here in just a second. Creekside, we had gains, very excited. We had went up 4 points, and I think that Carrie Patterson told me that she's never disliked the color orange more than she did last year, and so I'm really excited. In addition to that, her writing scores at that school were had went down, and so she's already jumped in with a really strong writing program that her 5th grade teachers are doing. And Paul Kruger and I were just talking about last year. It's simple, basic writing. And just getting back to how we organize paragraphs, how you support it with details, and how you conclude it. And it's just really excited to see the direction that they're going with that. Eastern Elementary has maintained at the green level, which is in the high rating. Garth Elementary School, look at those gains. From a 45.1 to a 59.6. That is incredible. Lemons Mill Elementary, another big gain. The team at Lemons Mill jumped in, and they also don't like the color orange. And I'm super proud because we'll talk about this here in a second, but they also exited TSI status in special ed. They jumped in on co-teaching. They've jumped in on high-quality instructional resources, and the outcomes are clear. In addition, they were the first ones to implement the writing program that Creekside has now implemented, and they had huge gains in writing. So I'm really excited for that. Northern Elementary, when you dig into the detailed data, Northern is an example of where the change hurts. When you look at their performance, they are at the high level. They are at the green level. But because they were high last year, and even though they're high this year, they had a little bit of a dip, and that dip in that change is what has moved them from a green school to a yellow school. And if you look at the cut scores, they are 70 is a green school, and they're at 68.8. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. But yeah, Stamping Ground Elementary, huge gains, and they were high last year, and now they are very high this year. Tomorrow morning, they are having a big Buffalo celebration to celebrate their kids and the gains that they have had. Western Elementary, they are still at the yellow level, but I also want you to look. I mean, they had gains, and they are so close to green, they can taste it. So, but yeah, so excited that they're continuing to grow. Georgetown Middle School, they've stayed, they've maintained, which I will say, Shane had some challenges at GMS last year with staffing. He had a lot of emergency certified teachers. I can tell you this, his entire 6th grade math team was emergency certified, but he's done a really good job this year of maintaining and retaining his staff. He's put a lot of resources and energy into professional development. And so, yeah.
You'd mentioned this morning, but we went gallivanting around the district.
We did.
Presenting some green and blue banners.
We did.
And what was it that you had mentioned about GMS?
So we have with iReady, Lucy comes in and does professional development with all of our teachers. And this week, Deborah Reed ran into her, and she said, "I have to tell you," she said, "the PLC around iReady at GMS is a 10 out of 10." And she shoots it straight. Like, I mean, because last year she did not feel that way. She had concerns, and I am so proud of the work that Shane and his administrative team and his teachers are putting in. They're doing the house system. It's just a really positive place to be right now, and just a great environment. And we're seeing the gains in the teaching and learning.
Great.
Yep. So GMS, if things keep on the trajectory they are, I'm excited to see the outcomes. Royal Springs stayed as a high-performing middle school, so really excited for them. And then Scott County Middle School. I mean, talk about gains. I mean, they also are having a big celebration tomorrow. If you may see lots of blue, from what I gather. Tomorrow at Scott County Middle School. And but yeah, just really excited for them. Great Crossing High School is another example of how change had a negative impact. They had a dip in their English scores, and English and math is 51% of the weight. And even though they had gains in graduation rate, post-secondary readiness, EL, they had gains across the board other than in that area, and it moved them from green to yellow. So I think Joy Lusby's still sick about it. She still has Wendy and I digging in to see if the data's right. So, which we are happy to do. And Scott County High School, they've maintained. They had a little bit of a dip. I will tell you, Billy and I have met with Elizabeth, and she has a solid plan around instruction and planning and how they're running PLCs. And so they're diving in to get the work happening.
What I loved too was that we try to be flexible and responsive, and through that meeting we kind of on the fly came up with some ways that we could better utilize our people in helping her get where they need to be.
Yep. Yep.
So it's been very helpful information we've been able to gather.
Right. Right. It has been very helpful. And again, just responding to what their needs are, because they're the ones in the building every day leading the work. And I was able, from our conversation, to provide some resources for her to help her build the system that she's now implementing. And so I'm excited to be a part of it and support her work there. So that's the schools as a whole. So you can see, I did Stephanie math, and I have what it looks like if you just look at performance. Yes,
Okay.
but
I hadn't heard that term
That's new
before.
math. That's new math.
that's new math.
Okay,
But
okay, okay.
but I can show you, if it were just on performance, the picture is got a lot more green in it. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, we're pleased that the recovery work is showing strong gains in reading and math, because that has been our focus, and making sure that we have those components in. And then next, and I've talked to Billy, the next step is looking and digging in to science, social studies, and writing. We've dug in with post-secondary readiness. You all have provided a lot of additional resources for the high schools. So I think that's our next step, is digging in next to science, social studies, and writing. Another big celebration. So we all know about targeted school improvement, which is a federal classification. So that means if one of your subpopulations is in the bottom 5th percentile of the state, then you are labeled as targeted school improvement. And then you have 3 years to exit that status before you move to ATSI. And then that's one step away from CSI, which we don't want to get there because that means that KDE becomes a really big part of our lives. Right now, we're inviting them in. We don't want them to have to come in. But anyway, so we started in 21-22. You can see the list of all of the TSI schools. And then in 22-23, we had 2 schools exit that status. And then in 23-24, we have had 2 more exit that status, which is Lemons Mill and Scott County Middle School. At the bottom, you can see I listed the data of what it is in the identified year and then where we currently are. Obviously, we want to see the data increasing like it is at Ann Mason and at Georgetown Middle School. We do not want to see it declining. And so all 4 of our schools remaining are targeted school improvement and special education. So it's looking at how those students are performing novice, apprentice, proficient, and distinguished on the KSA, on all of them. Some of the steps that we've put in place, so we've done a tiered level. So year 1 in 21-22, we offered additional support with them developing their CSIPs and monitoring that they were making sure they review those CSIPs every 30 days around those goals and what their next steps were. So we really, we met, we provided support, things of that nature. So we kind of give them a year to get out on their own without. So then in 22-23, if they still hadn't exited, we began our OSL learning walks. So that means that we're in your building once a month, and we have a designed learning walk system around all of the components of what you would want to see in a strong instructional classroom. Then from that, we go in for a half a day. And what's great about that process is a principal, it would take them and their AP forever to get 30 walkthroughs. What we are able to do is give that in one morning. And we only do it in the content. And then we give them the strong, promising practices that we see. We shout out teachers who are doing great things so that principal can shout out to them. And then we give them areas of inquiry, things as a principal that they need to possibly look into. And then we give them some quick next steps, like modeling a discourse strategy at your next PD. And so we also did the CARS visit with CKEC where they come in and do a whole day similar process. And you can see we had 2 more schools exit. In addition, we work with those schools on scheduling so that co-teaching is a model, all of those things. And so now we're left with 4. And that next layer, we continue our OSL visits. We continue to provide that support with the principals, but now we are going to have KDE to come in and do a 2-day visit where they really dive in deep and have outside perspective of educational experts to really give that principal another level of here's what we're seeing and here are some next steps that can take you to the next level. So, I'm excited. GMS, I have to tell you, when you look at his data for special education, they jumped into co-teaching and reading and math. They're less than a tenth of a point away from exiting if you only looked at reading and math scores because they did co-teaching. So guess what he's doing this year? Science, social studies, and writing. And because we know that co-teaching is a great way to have to provide support for special education students. So, all right. Of course you may.
When I'm thinking about being that this is special education, did we have a lot of emergency certified special education teachers?
Yes.
Have y'all thought about making sure that they're trained in modification accommodation?
Yes.
I'm just saying this because that's what I'm experiencing right now.
So we now have a new special education teacher cohort where we are pulling them in, and Harper and Kim are leading them specifically through supports as a new special education cohort. Because, I was a special education teacher, and, And I was a provisional certification. I was in the MAT program, and you don't know what you don't know. So really getting them, we're also, like for example, at Southern, we got some emergency certified special ed teachers. We're getting them over to Lemons Mill who jumped in on co-teaching and letting them see that, like really putting a lot of time, resources, and energy into those special education teachers to help move the needle. I actually meet tomorrow morning at 7:30 at Southern Elementary with all of their special ed teachers. So yeah, putting a lot, because that's a really great point.
I'd like to add in too, though. I mean, we can't forget that we just approved a position for GMS so that
Mhm.
he could do his after school tutoring.
Yep.
So it sounds to me like there's a lot of resources being put towards,
Yes,
you know, what Shane is doing over there as well. So
100%.
I'll be excited to see here in a couple
Mhm.
months how we're coming up with
Yes, yes.
results.
And Wendy's
they're
going to
coming
show
in.
you the iReady data for the fall, which it's the fall, and next month we're gonna teachers are gonna share how they use iReady. But before that, I'll give you all the data so you all can ask me questions later. But what I'm really excited to see, based on what you're saying, is how that looks after the winter administration of iReady for all four of these schools, because they are. I will tell you, all four of those schools, those principals have a sense of urgency, and know that they've got some work to do. So, but yeah, and I will say that position I think has really helped Shane with retention of some staff. So that's good. That's good. All right, so
Before she starts her final
Yes.
slide, I just wanted you, just a reminder, the rest of the packet you've got is full.
Yep.
You've spent time and talked.
yeah. But you all know you can reach out with any
Yep.
of those questions about the specific schools. But I know when you dig in, you'll be able to see how the change can positively impact a school and negatively impact a school. So, all right, just our celebrations. Overall, our middle schools are achieving at a high level. Very exciting. Can't wait for next year because we want to see more of that green and blue in our world. Increase in reading and math at the elementary level. Increase in science, social studies, and writing at the middle school level. Increase in EL at the middle school level because, again, I want to say we were very low last year, and now we're in the high range, which is amazing. At the high school level, there are increases in grad rate, post-secondary readiness rate, EL, and the student survey results. EL is very high at elementary level and high, and at the middle and high school levels. I'm sorry, high, very high at the elementary and high at the middle and high school levels. 2 more schools exited TSI, so way to go, Lemons Mill and Scott County Middle School. I will have to tell you, when I first got their scores and I called them, first I wanted to tell them, like, hey, Morgan, you're not orange anymore, and hey, Kelly Beckett, you're not blue. But, like, I could barely get it out, and they're like, what about TSI? So they were very excited to exit. Creekside, Garth, and Lemons Mill moved from the low-performing range to the medium, so really excited about their growth. And the district went from 4 low-performing orange schools to 2. So we're moving in the right direction. Really excited for the future. Our district priorities are going to continue to be any low-performing schools, so that's AME and Southern, as well as the 4 schools in TSI, which also is AME and Southern, as well as Georgetown Middle School and Scott County High School. But, those are our priorities. But, again, we always are wanting to grow, so we have some other areas, science, social studies, and writing. Like I said, they're at the maintaining level, so we're getting ready to really dive in and talk about what that looks like so that we can move from maintaining to, of course, increasing. The quality of school climate and survey results are not where we want them to be, so putting an emphasis on that. Middle and high schools are at the maintaining level in reading and math, so diving in to see what we need to do to get them to where we're not maintaining, because we always want to grow. And even though graduation rates, post-secondary readiness, and EL are increasing at the high school level, we'll continue to intentionally focus on these systems to make sure that there's consistency at all schools. So.
I want to thank you all as a board because you all have been very open to us through professional development, letting our staff understanding that you got to go so that you can grow, you know, and so they're getting to go different places. And one of the things that we made sure to connect them to was, hey, here's Big 15, CKC, find a school that looks like you, that's performing better than you.
Yep.
You know, and just so you all are aware, we're consistently pushing. It's okay, and we need to not be siloed.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
couldn't
we're
agree
we're
more.
yeah, we're doing a book study with all the high school math, and it's from Oldham County and some of the practices that they've done, and just really looking and seeing what other districts like us are doing, and really excited to see our principals take on that opportunity. I said I'd pay for subs, and they're all in to go see what other people are doing. So.
Well,
So,
we
yeah.
appreciate that, and I want to say thank you too. Well, first of all, to jump off of that, professional development is very, very important. It's not always looked upon maybe at an educational look as much as it is maybe like from a business point of view, but this is essential. You go see
100%.
who's doing bigger, better, and you go emulate it, and there we
Mhm.
go, and that just keeps us going up in that direction. So,
Yep.
thank you, Gina, for always helping us with budgetary issues and making all that happen, because you do a fabulous job for us on
Mhm.
that. But I also want to say thank you. The board team was able to sit and meet and talk in depth,
Mhm.
2x2, just to let everybody know. So
Two
it
by
was all
two.
legal.
Yep.
It was not our quorum. But we did meet with Stephanie and Billy to sit and talk about all of these results, what's going to be happening in the future, and board members were also able to add in comments,
Absolutely.
concerns, trying to find out a little bit more. So thank you, because that is very important to keep that going, now and in the future, and as always before. So thank
Well,
you.
thank you all for taking the time to do it with us. We really
Very
appreciate it.
important.
So,
We
yeah.
appreciate
Yep.
it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Very much.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, next item is about our calendar. Becky.
We have the greatest colonel of Scott County getting ready to.
Oh,
present.
I'm sorry. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I
That's
thought we
okay.
were.
That's okay.
I apologize.
Now,
I'm sorry. No. I'm just ready. Let's go.
Board Member Nelson well, I'm sure she will contribute
Yeah,
some
go
to
right
this
ahead.
conversation.
I do want to
Goodness
thank
gracious.
Becky Nelson for helping us with the calendar committee. She's instrumental as always, and then also all those that participated in that. We have folks from our team on Scott County Schools, but then also from the community, the business community, parents, and it makes for a good experience. So I'll walk you through how we came to our recommendations, and Ms. Nelson, feel free to interject whenever you would like. All right, next slide.
Oh.
Well, practice makes perfect. I need to practice more. So we'll walk through just how we essentially move through the calendar process. A couple of things. Since August, we got the team together, went over laws in August, September, and October. We were able to deploy a survey to sense the community, then also develop calendar options, and then we've provided those to you. And we do have a singular recommendation that I'll present at the conclusion of this. All right, so survey data, we do this every year, but we have traditionally about 67% of our population 67% of those that responded are from the parent demographic. We also have about a third that come from district employees. We do have some kids that participate, which might be a future goal for us to get more of that, but that's always a lot of fun. We had approximately 2,800 respondents to this. So overall, the analysis that I'll present is that the full week of fall break is the preferred model. Overall, 79% define it as important in some capacity, and then 61% of them define it as extremely or very important. 20% really just don't care. Traditional Thanksgiving, we looked at one of the conversations we always have, everything's a trade-off. So we did look at the traditional 5-day model. We looked at also shortening that or lengthening it up to a full week. And so what we see is that there is a segment of the population that does favor the full week. They do value it, approximately 1/4, but most people don't see that full week as an important piece and are happy with what we would define as a traditional Thanksgiving. Memorial Day finish is important. People like to be done by Memorial Day. That's pretty important. One thing that we discovered when we were doing our course of action analysis is that we can actually, through abbreviating calendar holidays throughout the course of the year, we can get done as early as the first week of May. But that doesn't seem to be the interest of people. And then also, as we talked about, the primary objective is to build the calendar that's supportive of student learning. So it's just worth knowing that Memorial Day is kind of the goal that the community does look at. With regard to fall break, we did look at multiple options. We looked at shortening the fall break down to a 4-day weekend. We've done that. I remember earlier in my career, that was something that was done in Scott County Schools. There were people that advocated for that, but overwhelmingly, people preferred the long fall break that covers a full week. Winter break, we did survey the community with regard to the length of the winter break. There's opportunity if you want to shorten that down, you can do that and capture more days. But 71% of the community favors the full 2 weeks. And actually this year, it falls very nicely into 2 solid weeks. The full spring break, this would be the sacred cow of all the surveyed questions. Don't touch spring break if I could recommend one thing. People really value that. 79% see that as essential to what they do. So looking at course of action comparison, we came up with 3 calendar options. We could develop other variants, but we wanted to just give 3 as a framework. All of them include 4 holidays, which is defined by law. 3 collaborative days, which we have spaced out, working with the OSL team to maximize the best way to approach that. Essentially, we have draft A, which will be our recommended calendar, includes a traditional calendar, a full week of fall break, a full week of spring break, 2 weeks at winter. This starts us coming to school essentially in the second week of August. We have professional development in the first week of August. And you can see the last day for students is the 19th of May, and we have weather days already built in. This one did receive unanimous support from the calendar committee. We did also have discussions about fall break and when that falls, and we aligned that with Fayette County. One of the things that was interesting in the conversations and looking at survey information, and I know Ms. Nelson pointed out specifically, I don't know if you want to share, but just how important it is that people have options for their kids while they're working during the fall break season.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I really appreciated about the survey was there was an opportunity to make comments, and many of our people who responded to the survey did make comments, many of them very thoughtful and helpful. And one thing that I had not considered before that a number of people commented about, when they are both working and their students are off for a break, there are many opportunities in Fayette County for their students for camps, for enrichment activities, YMCA programs, that if Fayette County was on a different break, they'd be scrambling to find some other things. So I thought that was a really legitimate point.
It was a good discussion and very insightful. I hadn't considered that with regard to parents and their planning and things like that. So, other options that we did look at shortening the fall break to strive for an earlier end. We were able to push the end of the school year to the 15th in this particular case. We maintained a 2-week winter break and a full week spring break. And then we also did push for a very early start. This would actually have staff coming in for professional development as early as the 31st of July, which we would then have full-time staff working basically the middle of July. We felt that this was not really appropriate for what we're striving to achieve. But it did get us out early, but we felt the trade-offs did not match up with what we were pursuing.
Ooh, that sounds terrible.
So overall recommendation was the first one that I presented. That essentially starts us with students coming in on the 13th. Fall break is a full week. Thanksgiving is a 3-day traditional break. Spring break is a full week that's aligned with Fayette County. Gets us out by the 19th of May. We also built in potential weather days, snow days at the conclusion of May that we can use, and while still also maintaining the option for NTI should the discretion of the superintendent want to use that. The total calendar is 185 staff days, 172 student days, which matches with our historic trend. Are there any questions that you have?
No questions, but I'd like to point out, because I'm starting to see things kind of ramping up on social media, of course, everybody's looking for the calendar to come out. So can you kind of explain what that process is? We're going to review it tonight, and then...
We'll review it tonight. You can even select one if you wanted to this evening, but you have to select one month after your the meeting that we do now. So that we normally do that in November. Then you'll have a second reading in your December meeting. And at that point, you would then release that. Essentially, the population would know the same time that they did last year, which is about the December timeframe. That is also when Toyota will make their calendar public as well for the 25-26 year. We already have Fayette County's calendar. And then the last thing I would say is that the state requirement is that we publish a calendar by the spring, so May of 2025.
Do you anticipate any changes?
I do not anticipate changes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I I know it's going to start, we'll start seeing more and more questions that are going to be coming out as people try to plan. So, and I understand and all is good and I know what our process has to be. So thank you for all the information. Becky, do you have anything else you'd like to add in?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
If I may, I would say this is, the calendar committee is always an example. Superintendent, people think that you get what you want. You don't. It's not. If I was waving a magic wand, it wouldn't look like it looks. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, it's about our community and what our community wants. I will say, though, that, again, the plan to get out, I think you said May 19th, is that recommended calendar. I did charge the committee, and Brent, I believe, acted as my surrogate and shared with them my desire that have days available so that we can, I'm not as committed to the Memorial Day as I am to staying out of June, but to make sure we've got days to where we could use makeup days and not have to get into NPI Day. Just because you can't, that's just not an argument somebody can win with me to tell me that NPI Day is valuable person. But when you get into June, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of a different story. So I just wanted to express that that's something that I have expressed kind of moving forward, that we want to try and have days built in to where we're not having to use NTI Day. I just don't think that.
We've learned a lot over the past how many years since our COVID days, so I agree. Okay, number 11, I'm going to go ahead and read it because we do need to. Number 11, review calendar committee recommendation for the 2025-2026 school year. Number 12, amend 2024-2025 school year calendar, excuse me. We need to amend it.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 13, consider acceptance of 2024-2025 KETS offer of assistance.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 14, approve the establishment of the Scott County High School Boys Lacrosse Booster.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, approve surplus items as submitted.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 16, financial statement.
Submitted in your packet, the September 2020 financial statements. Cash balance is $5 million. Leaving our ending cash balance of 35 point. Of that, 10.9 million was invested.
No, thank you. Number 17, approve current bills.
Move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Number 18, superintendent's report.
So under standard one, I've had discussions with several different times here recently with John Knoll. He's our CTE coordinator for the district. We've just talked through CTE pathways and LAVEC funds, and I really always appreciate Mr. Knoll. And again, we have ECS, but we have so many other offerings in our other schools that I feel like we could shout from the rooftops every day and people still wouldn't understand. But he does a great job of being very neutral and fair in decision making that has to come with regard to funding and pathways and whatnot. Instructional leadership, we have had it. Really, when I thought about this month, that's all I felt like talk about is KSA assessment results, and that's how it should be. But we've had a lot of communication and discussions along those. Completed my PGP meetings with principals and completed some school visits as well that, are not official site visits necessarily, but, just to hash out some things as Stephanie described when we met with Scott County High School. That'd be a good example. We had Sister City of Tahara visit, and they were very, again, we've got several people in our school communities that stepped up to the plate and really helped out with that situation on really short notice. And from all indications, they were very pleased with their visit. Last year, when last year we did AP Scholars recognition and we did it here. And so we didn't have high attendance. We had, whatever the number of kids were that were supposed to come, a fraction of that came. So this year we went to them. So we went to their schools and I just kind of spoke to them a little bit about the fact that we didn't have as much attendance last year. We wanted to make sure they knew we see them. We see what they're doing, what they do matters. And we walked through, I think the first one I did, I don't even think I introduced myself and realized that I needed to do that. But anyway, we polished it up and got better as we went
You
through.
didn't open with guess what, did you?
I did not go open with guess what. But it was anyway. It was much better, and thank you to Deborah and Wendy and Stephanie for being there and being a part of it. I know we've already talked about and thinking about ways to maybe improve on it. So anyway, just that was really nice. A nice thing for us to be able to do and to get to talk to our students that accomplished so much. And then Southern Elementary had a student showcase last week that I was able to attend, and I kind of delayed their schedule a little bit because I kind of saw so many of them at one point that I was like, okay, I got to see them all. But man, it was hard to get through in the time that was allotted. But it was a really good event. Really appreciated the opportunity to be there and to be around students. Had some staffing discussions with Miss Bennett, just talking through just some details with the technology department. Probably something that we'll bring to the table for you all in not in the next month, but here pretty soon. Managerial leadership, of course, elementary 10 planning meetings. We've been having those. And as Tony described, we had one just yesterday. Worked with Josh, our board attorney, and the city of Georgetown, and we've been working through that SRO agreement revisions. And he called today, actually, and I believe that he has some sort of Zoom or a call set up with the city of Georgetown for later this week. And then last, influential leadership. Houchins had a legislative event that I was able to attend, and Kentucky Board of Education member Randy Poe, who is a former superintendent from Boone County, he spoke to us about some of the things and challenges that they're seeing and things that they're maybe working as the Kentucky Board of Education with the General Assembly for the coming year. And then had some conversations with superintendents about legislation. We're already talking about January, February now, so we're already just getting ready for any legislation that we think might be fruitful. So that was the month.
Okay, all right, thank you. I know you keep very busy. Okay, board comments. Eleanor, would you like to begin?
Sure. As I looked at these, Stephanie, again, thank you so much. But just visualize blue and green, period. Period. And that's what I did. I said, it's from 2 years ago when I first arrived to now. Thank you so much. Your hard work. Thank you. I am so proud to say that I can't wait to see next year's. Thanks, Stephanie.
Susan?
Nothing to
Okay. Wendy?
Just again, said, just informing the board. We really do appreciate y'all sitting down with us and making sure that we understand exactly what's going on. But I'm just proud of the board because what we're doing is making a difference as well. And thank you for applauding the board. Celebrating.
Yes, if you'll permit me, I just have to make one last statement on Amendment 2 because I'm very concerned about it. I feel like our community of Scott County, our district school board, and all of our teachers and administrators have worked so hard to get the kind of report that Stephanie was giving us today that's only going to improve. And I feel that changing our Constitution is just serious business. Taking our community's taxpayer dollars and giving them to private schools with no plan from the legislature as to how this would even be done, and no accountability from those private schools would be a serious mistake, and I personally will be voting no on number 2.
Thank you. Number 20?
I so move. We adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is closed. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening.